Hey guys, I guess you got in. I am so excited to launch episode 1 this evening, and I got to tell you, man, the tale of the loot, it grew into epic proportions. I would have never imagined what it turned into, and not only is there the loot, but people started contacting me that had stuff of mine that, some of you know the storage locker thing, and they wanted to return it to me, and I want to thank those folks who returned some things to me that were stolen. And of course I've got all the stuff from the Fluvanna County Sheriffs that they recovered as well. But it's amazing. It's great to get stuff back, and some stuff you remember, some stuff you don't. There's still some stuff missing that hopefully somebody's got it out there somewhere. But anyway, I'm very careful when I talk about Guns N' Roses, and it's just one of those things where, it's kind of like what goes in Vegas stays in Vegas. What goes in Guns N' Roses stays in Guns N' Roses. But, one of the other reasons that I am careful about what I say is I got this crazy letter, and I'm just going to show it to you. So not only was Guns N' Roses fans watching my tale of the recovery of the loot, but so was the Universal Music Group. And I'm just going to hold this up, and this is their official stationery, and I thought that I would read a couple of things for you. They're like a billions and billions of dollar corporation. I used to work for them. Anyway, more recently it has come to our attention that you claimed you were contacted by the Fluvanna County Sheriff's Office and are in the process of recovering certain material that suddenly reappeared, including material from the Guns N' Roses storage locker story. Troubling, you responded to a comment from Rick Dunsford, one of the individuals responsible for the unlawfully obtaining and publicly distributing the recordings that the material contained. Additional recordings by GNR, you claimed that you intended to share this material with your followers online. Well, I'm not going to share anything that would be illegal ever, but it has kind of made me a little more cautious about what I am going to reveal. Now, I am going to reveal some GNR stuff, and I don't think you want to tune out until you get to the very last 30 seconds. Anyway, UMG hereby demands that you immediately cease and desist from any plan to share recordings and turn any recordings you obtain over to UMG and all copies thereof, together with a complete list of any master tapes or recordings in these materials, so that UMG may determine if they contain any other UMG copyrighted material. So there you go. I have to be a little more careful about what I do. Anyway, so we're going to get right to the loot. Now, I know a lot of folks, they want to know more about the storage locker story. It was on the cover of Rolling Stone magazine, and basically I'm going to get into more of that later. But the bottom line is while I was out in Hollywood filming the Paradise City TV show, which is streaming on Peacock if you haven't seen it yet, 8 episodes. While I was out there, I had a fraud on a credit card, and so it got declined, and over about $60 they auctioned off a storage locker. And if you want to know more, you could read the Rolling Stone cover story about it, and I'll discuss it further. But ever since that happened, I am very careful. And man, I'm just talking about recovering loot from the sheriffs in Fluvanna County, Virginia, and all of a sudden I get that crazy letter. But I want to get right into it, and I'm going to grab some things here. So in one of the many boxes, there were like personal pictures, and I guess this wouldn't really matter to anyone but me. This is a picture from 1968 of my mom and dad and me and my brother. And this was the year, and those of you who've seen some of my stuff, you know that I talk about how my granny played me the Beatles' I Want to Hold Your Hand, and that's what started my tick for loving music and my passion. And that's me at 9 years old when that happened, right in front of my granny's and grandpa's house. So there you go. It's nice to have that back. And again, it's not that this is valuable, but it's good to have that memory. Something that is pretty cool. So while I was working for Warner Music and I was still in high school, this came out. It's you see how it's Looney Tunes and Merry Melodies, because Warner Brothers Pictures and you know, these Bugs Bunny cartoons and stuff. They're part of the same family. And so they use the kind of cartoon motif to put out these Van Halen advanced. This is like 4 songs on a red vinyl record. And I kind of thought these were gone forever, but they're back. And I'm going to tell you that if you subscribe, don't forget to follow, like, and subscribe. I'm going to give one of these away in the future. Something else that came back to me, and I never thought I'd see this again either. So I did some work with Tommy Bolin. Now, those of you who don't know, and if you ever listen to my Capturing Lightning in a Bottle radio show, you would have heard me talk about Tommy Bolin. You know, he replaced Ritchie Blackmore in Deep Purple. He played in the James Gang. He started out in Zephyr. And anyway, I made it like a passion of mine to do a collection of all his recordings with all his different bands. And so here's the box that I put out. And this is a picture that his brother gave me of Tommy. I'm sure if you didn't know this, I'm a huge Viper fan, and for whatever reason, a bunch of my Viper magazines and Viper stuff got recovered. I used to have a bunch of Vipers, and this is really important to me, and this was the second Viper Invitational, and this poster is autographed by the guy that created the 10-cylinder Viper motor. And one of the interesting things about that is that he told me that I had the second Viper built, and that that it had an engine that only the first 200 Vipers had, and it was twice as powerful because they got a lot of complaints from Corvette owners that the car was too rough. So they refined the motor, and after 201st one had completely different motor. So I got a couple of things here, but I want to show you this. So, you know, after I left my granny's, you know, and she had bought me that 45, and I kept, you know, telling my parents I wanted a record player and some records, and they said, well, you got to go out and earn money. But in the meantime, they bought me a transistor AM radio with headphones, and my recollection is that it was a McDonald's one, but Pizza Hut did this one, and, you know, I found this back in the 80s, and, you know, I never thought I'd see it again, and, you know, here it is, the AM radio, and now, you know, there's really no music on AM radio. And back when I was doing displays, so my first job in the music business was doing displays. And this is my autographed Foreigner from the first album, Feels Like the First Time, and, you know, all that kind of stuff. And I was putting these displays in record stores, and when Foreigner came to town, I met the band. I was like, I think I was like 16, and they autographed this for me. And, you know, one other kind of cool thing that happened is I'm going to show you this, because so I did the window display with the Foreigner thing, and it used to be up on counters, and then this Queen record came out, and I did a bunch of displays with that. And so here I was, you know, 16 years old in my 1970 Maverick, and I'm cruising around downtown Chicago and putting window displays. Well, one day I ran into the Columbia guy, and he had the Pink Floyd Animals with the giant pig, and this hung from the ceiling. And so I traded him some Warner stuff for this Pink Floyd pig, and, you know, I was into the pig and this factory in London, and, you know, I liked that record a lot. So, you know, we've talked a lot about Motley Crue, and I know people want to know every Motley Crue story I have, but before I actually signed Motley Crue, I'd signed a band named Riot, and before that, I went to Texas looking for the 10 best bands in Texas. And one of the guys who helped me find the 10 best bands in Texas is the guy who started South by Southwest, which is this big music event that happens in Austin, Texas every year. And anyway, this was the album cover from 10 from Texas, and this is the picture that was on that cover. And man, there were some great bands on that thing. So this is something else that's pretty cool. So I started this label in New York City called the Enclave, and this band, Fluffy, it was an all-female punk band from London, and they were really cool. Bill Price produced them, and one of the goals of my career was to get Robert Christgau from the Village Voice in New York City to like something I did, and so this did the trick. You know, he basically wrote up how this was the best punk band since Nevermind the Bollocks by the Sex Pistols and London Calling by the Clash. Ironically, both of those records and bands, those were produced by Bill Price, the same guy who produced this. And if you can find this, this was live at CBGB's, and of course, I'll have some Dead Boy stories and how I met Hilly Crystal from CBGB's in a future episode. But I thought I would show this because that's what finally got me into the Village Voice. And here we go. Let's see if I can open this up a little bit. I also recovered this, and I'm trying to get this plastic off of it. Anyway, this is one of my favorite pictures of Edie Brickell, and you know, for those of you that don't know, I mean, I did more than just hard rock. I mean, Edie Brickell and New Bohemians, they had that big hit, What I Am Is What I Am, and What You Are Is What You Are. And this is one of her classic poses taken by an iconic photographer. And this used to hang in my office at Geffen Records, and it's really great to get it back. And it was so cool, some of the stuff that the sheriffs found. And, you know, again, I'm just randomly showing you stuff that that popped up, and I was going to show you this. So this is the Kiss Army on tour book, and I really never thought I'd see this again. So it was kind of nice when I dug through the loot from the Fluvanna County Sheriffs to find this old Kiss tour program, and I'll open it up and just show you something inside it, just to kind of give you an idea. Like, you used to go to concerts and they'd have these really cool programs, and you know, of course now, you know, they don't really do these kind of things anymore. And again, you know, this probably doesn't mean anything to anybody but me, so you know, it's kind of ironic that this popped up in one of the big, gigantic plastic tubs that I recovered from the Fluvanna County Sheriffs. It's a picture of the last picture and only picture I have of my dad's parents, you know, my grandmother and grandfather. My grandfather was a one-armed coal miner in West Virginia, and I'm really proud of what he did. And, you know, I used to sit on his porch in Beckley, West Virginia for hours. Now I want to show you this. So, you know, one of the great things about living in Chattanooga is how many killer fans there are of Tesla. And this was something cool we did to promote the first Tesla record. In the music business back in the 80s, you could do all this really cool creative stuff. And so this is every song on the first Tesla album on a box set of 12 inches, and it's called the Rock Box. And I'm sure, you know, maybe some of you got one or you found one on eBay, but I'm sure happy to have mine back, and it was in this plastic tub filled with records. I never thought I'd see it again, and I didn't want to pay a lot of money to get one on eBay. I wanted mine, and I got it. And a couple of things, you know, and this is from one of the early record store days, and this is the Ramones singles box. So this is all of the Ramones singles in a box set, and it was from one of the early record store days. And I mean, I'm surprised, you know, because the person who had this stuff, told the sheriffs that he'd already sold the best stuff. So, I mean, I can't imagine if this stuff was left. I can't imagine what was there. It was also cool to recover this. So, hey, what can I do? And again, it's like a capturing lightning in a bottle moment. Hey, what can I do was a song that was only the B-side of a single. So when they put all the Led Zeppelin singles in a box, it was the only way you could get it on vinyl until later, after John Bonham, the drummer, died, and they put out some compilation records. So, Led Zeppelin was so important to me. I saw them about 5 times before Bonham passed. I went to every show I could go to, and, a couple of them were just mind-blowing. Like, they transported you to, like, another world, and a couple of them were just okay, and a couple of them were not good at all. And we know some members of Led Zeppelin had their substance problems. So I thought this was kind of funny. The HMV record store in London, they put out this Who record back in, I think it was in the early 90s, and it was called The Who Live at the Isle of Wight. And so they give you this box at the register, and when you opened it up, it had a condom in it. I mean, I don't know who thought of that promotion, but like I said, the music business had some wacky stuff, and then this was my Geffen crew. These were all the people that worked for me when I was at Geffen Records, and I'm glad to get this photo back. It's the only one I have of my team that did all that GNR, Tesla, all that Geffen stuff, Edie Brickell, Enya. A lot of people don't know this, and I was happy to get this back. And, again, there's a gigantic box, and it's probably going to take another episode to go through some of the other stuff. But anyway, I signed this band called Nashville Pussy, and believe it or not, they got nominated for a Grammy, and every label in the United States wanted to sign them. And I told them, I said, hey guys, if you sign with me, I'll get you nominated for a Grammy. And they told me, they said, we thought you were full of shit, but we went with it. And they were kind of like, they couldn't believe it when they got nominated. And this, I should have shown it with the rock box from Tesla, but this is your all access Tesla backstage pass from back in the day. And I figured, everybody wants to see what kind of special, like, cassette tapes and demos and stuff I had. So here is the first mastered version from Sterling Sound of the cassette for Appetite for Destruction. Here are some Tesla rough mixes that we did at Right Track Studios. And again, I never thought I'd see this stuff again. This is an advanced metal particle tape that we sent out to radio stations of Appetite for Destruction. See, I told you I had some some GNR stuff. And then this is a rough mix of a Tesla song from from Bust a Nut. And then this is kind of funny because this is a cassette that I took to a radio convention, and it was like a 3-minute excerpt of 4 GNR songs. Think About You, Back Off Bitch, Don't Cry, and Welcome to the Jungle. And that's what we played for all these FM radio guys at this convention. So I think it's probably time that we talk a little bit about Motley Crue and go through some of their rarer, harder to find stuff. So I was so happy to get this stuff back. So here's an autographed copy of Shout at the Devil, again, it being the first record I fully worked on with them and put out. And I think that we'll set this over here. And believe it or not, I have 2 other promo copies, first pressings of this album. They're not autographed, but they are embossed, and I don't know if you can see the glossy on the pentagram. I got lots of stories about that. And You know, probably the coolest thing though is that you open up this gatefold and bingo. And do you know how many fans from Motley Crue have said, do you know what, our friend got this record and they opened up that gatefold and I just had to have it, because remember, it didn't get on the radio right away. Here's a promo copy of the Elektra version of the Motley Crue record. And, okay, that's another promo copy. This is a sticker we made for the Elektra version of that record. And this was kind of cool. We did this picture disc of Helter Skelter that we put out. And I've got like a few of them. So again, like, follow, subscribe, and we're going to give some things away. And I only had one of these. I wish I had more so I could give some away in the future. But this is the first single that came out from Motley Crue right after I signed the band. You got Live Wire and Take Me to the Top on a 12-inch. And this is the sticker that came with it. I've seen these sell on eBay for like $5,000, so I know it's really valuable. I'm not going to even pretend to throw it. And let's see, what else do we got? All right, so this is pretty cool here. So right here is, yes, those of you in the know, you know what this is, right? This is the leather record. Now I'm going to pull it out. These are selling for like $10,000 on eBay. So there it is, the leather records version of Too Fast for Love, the original mixes. And those of you who've been following me, you know from the Hollywood Takeover that they reissued that record, those leather records mixes by Michael Wagner. Michael Wagner, my buddy, I got him his green card to come to the U.S. and work. And this is kind of cool too. And I was happy. I had a box of like stuff that my mom and dad got that I gave to them, like, because it was like Nikki Sixx, Motley Crue, my first signing, kind of like their first girlfriend. And so I really hooked my parents up with everything. But this was a record that they autographed for my mom, and I'm going to turn it around, but basically it says, Mama Zoot, love you, Vince Neil. Hey, Mom, more brownies. Thanks, happy birthday, Tommy Lee. They did this for her birthday. Where are the chocolate chip cookies, Mick Mars? Hey, Ma, let's see you soon. Take care. Yours, Nikki Sixx. So, you know, believe it or not, like Motley Crue and my mom were besties. They got along really well, and my mom would fly to LA and bake them cookies, and we'd go hang out with them. And, you know, and whenever they played Chicago or Huntsville, you know, we would go see them, and they'd always do something nice for my mom. But, so the band allude to, you know, we'll see you in Chicago. And this is the poster. And I was so happy that this was in one of the boxes of stuff from the Sheriffs. This, if you look at it, it says, you know, what it was is we made a big deal because just by coincidence, Motley Crue played live at the Aragon Ballroom on my birthday, May 11th. This is the poster from the show. And we took my mom and they had this big birthday party for me. And let me tell you, I've got some great stories about that night that I'm going to save for a future episode, because this is all about the loot with Zoot. I made sure I got one of these Canadian cassettes of Shout at the Devil. This is from Canada. But one of the coolest things was, and I can't believe that 10 years later that these didn't vanish from the loot, but these are promotional Motley Crue headbands, and I'm gonna like undo one of them. So we made these to promote Shout at the Devil, and you know, you wear it across your head and tie it around, and you know, anyway, I ended up, there were 3 of them in a Ziploc baggie, and they made it back to me from the Sheriffs, and it's crazy, right? I don't know, maybe we'll run a special promotion, and since we have 3 of them, we could give one away. I bet you don't see those on eBay very often. And now I think And again, you know, I had that box of stuff that had all this stuff from my mom and dad, and, you know, I'm going to get into that in a second, but this is just some of the GNR stuff, which I don't know why the person who had this stuff didn't sell it or, you know, got recovered somehow, but, you know, you got this Guns N' Roses, Live and Let Die, you know. That song gets played probably every day on the radio station here in Chattanooga. Guns N' Roses 91 Terminator comic book, right? There's Schwarzenegger. And then on the back it talks about that St. Louis riot. I almost forgot that I had that, and then it just turned up in one of the boxes. You know, you got your Bullet logo. And this was really cool. This was a 12-inch we put out in the UK. And, you know, the music business used to be really fun, you know, like you could do all this really fun stuff. So check this out. So a 12-inch of Welcome to the Jungle was wrapped around a 12-inch 45 of Welcome to the Jungle. So this was one side, right? And this was the other side. And it's amazing, this poster is relatively intact, and this is an iconic picture of the band. Like I said, there was going to be some cool Guns N' Roses stuff in the loot, and you're looking at it. And then here's another one. This one is Mr. Brownstone and It's So Easy. And incredible that these made their way back, because I never thought they would. But these are the original Live Like a Suicides, right? And so I had these in a box, and they were stuffed inside this big plastic tub. But these things, I mean, I think they sell for like $5,000, the originals. Now, of course, anybody can get this, because if you buy the GNR Lies record, you know, one side of it is a reissue of this Live Like a Suicide. But this is the, these are the originals, and I'll just pull one out and show you on the Uzi Suicide record label, if you can see the logo there. So anyway, Pre-Appetite. And I always thought that this Bullet logo was cool. And I'll show you the back. Warning, contains language which some people may find offensive. I like that, right? That's kind of funny. Anyway, I thought that this would be cool. So again, these came back not in the greatest of shape, but they're kind of historical. And these were my copies. So there were roughly 5 or 6 copies of these made back in the day, and obviously whoever had these, you know, they didn't get well looked after. But this is what the original Bullet looked like. And this is kind of a take on the Guns Wrapped with Roses. And of course, when you put these two things together, you get that iconic logo. So I'm really happy to get these back. Now, this is something pretty cool. And I haven't taken it out yet, but let me see if I can at least reveal some of it. This is an autographed, there we go, now you can see it. This is a GNR drumhead from Matt Sorum, not from the original drummer Steve, you know, but this was Matt Sorum, you know, the Use Your Illusions era drummer and beyond. And it's autographed by him, and I never thought I would see this again. So it's kind of nice to have it back. Again, while we're on the theme of like the box of stuff that was from my mom and dad, you know, my mom's favorite GNR song was Patience. And so here's a cassette single we put out, and here's the gold record award for the single of Patience. And I'd given these to my mom, and, you know, again, I showed you that autographed, you know, album that the band did for my mom on her birthday. And again, I want to thank, again, all the people that that sent me things that they thought might have been stolen. And these, again, with Shout at the Devil being like my first big successful release. Here is the platinum record presented to Chesley and Joanne Zoot of Shout at the Devil. And, oh, hang on here. All right, now I'm going to show you, because this was a pair, and I'm so happy to get them back. That was the platinum one, and here was the gold one. Of course, that record is sold so many by now. So I never thought I'd see these gold and platinum records I gave my mom and dad ever again. So, it's kind of nice to see them return. And, lastly, and hopefully you stayed till the end, and I'm going to put this on because this is just too cool. I know it's going to take a second to get this off, but bear with me. All right, hold on. How many of you have heard the rumor that that Axl Rose might appear with AC/DC and sing some of those higher pitched Bon Scott songs? And have any of you taken the time to compare the GNR 2025 tour to the AC/DC tour to maybe figure out what city they'll both be in together? I know I haven't had time to do it, but I want to show you this. So, man, do you know how awesome it was to get this back? This is the Use Your Illusions, the 1991 through 1993 Worldwide GNR Tour. This is the official tour jacket. So there's your Use Your Illusions logo. And now I'm going to turn around. So there you go. Guns N' Roses and AC/DC both touring in 2025. We got to see what cities they intersect, because I've heard through the grapevine that Axl is going to get up and do an encore of a couple of the Bon Scott songs that people, that Brian Johnson can't sing, with his voice stuff. Anyway, kind of exciting that those iconic bands will be touring next year. And now, at the end of every episode, I'm going to leave you with a zoo thought. And of course, Christmas is coming up soon. And, this is, I think it's a good time to think about, having got all this stuff back. And there's even more that I haven't even had a chance to digest yet. But, it makes you think about, like, what's really important to you, and it's not like all this stuff is important, even the $10,000 leather record or the $5,000 Van Halen, Looney Tunes, Bugs Bunny record, but it's the memories, right? It's the memories of this stuff. And I was happy to share some of these memories with you. And gosh, we're like we're 13 days, less than 2 weeks away from Christmas. And Christmas, I know everyone's like frantically dealing with gifts and Black Friday and Cyber Week and whatever else, but what really matters is those in our circle of friends, our family, those that we love. And one of my favorite Christmases was when I took my daughter to London to go see my friend Pat Moran, who produced Edie Brickell's record and a bunch of other records for me. Was to take her to see him in the hospital, and we were in London and it was snowing. And it's really, it's not the stuff, it's not the loot, it's the memories that you get while you're digging through the loot. See you next week. This is Tom Zoot. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow me on all social media, and check the TikToks and Instagrams too.